I bought cruise tickets for my whole family. I wanted us to share one dream vacation together, something we would all remember for the rest of our lives. But on departure day, my own sister looked me in the eye and said, "There's no room for you. We took your cabin." I stood there at the port, humiliated, as the ship sailed away without me. And 2 days later, my phone rang non-stop. They called me 134 times in a single night. If this story already has your attention, make sure to subscribe to the channel and let me know in the comments where you're watching from. I'd love to hear your story too. My name is Edward Callahan. I am 69 years old, a retired Navy mechanic, and a widower. I've lived a simple life since losing my wife, Margaret, 10 years ago. The house is quiet now, but one thing has always given me strength: family. I have a sister, Martha, and though we have often clashed, I thought a trip together might heal old wounds. I also have 2 children of my own, Michael and Rachel, and my niece, Anna, Martha's daughter, who has always been like another child to me. Most of all, I adore Anna's little boy, Sam, my great-nephew, who lights up every room he enters. For years, I dreamed of taking everyone on a cruise. My late wife used to talk about it. She wanted to see the ocean one last time, to watch the sunsets from the deck of a ship. She never got that chance, but I promised myself one day I'd make it happen for the rest of us. So after years of careful saving, I bought tickets for all of us. A week-long cruise, cabins for everyone, food, shows, and everything included. When I told the family, the reactions were mixed. Martha immediately stepped into the role of planner, acting like she was in charge, even though I had paid for it all. She had always been that way, trying to control everything since we were kids. My son Michael simply nodded, thanked me politely, and said it would be a nice break from work. Rachel hugged me and said she was proud of me for making it happen. But the one reaction that meant the most came from Anna. She hugged me tightly, her voice soft with gratitude. "Uncle Ed, you didn't have to do this," she said. "But thank you. You're the only one who thinks about what this family needs." And then there was Sam. When he heard the word cruise, his face lit up like Christmas morning. He bombarded me with questions. Will the ship have a pool? Will there be ice cream? Can we see dolphins? I laughed and promised him, "Yes, buddy, you'll see it all." His excitement carried me through the months of planning, through the headaches of paperwork and packing. In my heart, this trip wasn't just a vacation. It was my way of holding the family together, of proving that even after losing Margaret, I could still be the anchor. I imagined all of us standing on the deck together, taking pictures, watching the sunset. I thought maybe, just maybe, this trip could heal old arguments and bring us closer. On the morning of departure, I was filled with pride. I ironed my shirt, polished my shoes, and packed Margaret's old camera, ready to capture every moment. I left the house early, ticket in hand, smiling as I pictured Sam's face when he saw the ship for the first time. But I had no idea that before the ship even left the port, everything I had dreamed of would be taken from me in the cruelest way. The port was alive with energy that morning. Families dragged colorful suitcases, children ran ahead pointing at the massive ship, and music from the dock speakers filled the air. I walked proudly among them, ticket folder in hand, my chest swelling with pride. I had done it. After years of saving and dreaming, my family and I were about to set sail on a once-in-a-lifetime trip. I spotted them ahead near the boarding area. Martha, my sister, fussing with everyone's paperwork, Michael with his phone in his hand, Rachel trying to keep calm, Anna standing quietly to the side with Sam tugging at her sleeve, bouncing with excitement. My heart warmed at the sight. I waved, expecting smiles in return. Anna waved back softly. Sam shouted, "Uncle Ed!" But Martha was the one who stepped forward to meet me. Her lips pursed. "Edward," she said in a flat tone, "there's a problem." My smile faltered. "A problem? What kind of problem?" She glanced over her shoulder at the others before leaning in. "There's no room for you. We took your cabin." At first, I thought it was a joke. My jaw dropped, and I let out a small laugh, waiting for her to smirk and say she was kidding, but her eyes stayed cold. her face stern. She meant every word. "What are you talking about?" I asked, my voice tightening. "I booked every single cabin myself. I paid for this trip." Martha crossed her arms, her voice low but sharp. "Edward, we needed the space. The kids wanted more room. You don't need to be here. It'll be easier without you. Go home." Her words cut straight through me. My body froze as the noise of the port seemed to fade into the background. I looked past her to Michael and Rachel, expecting one of them to step in, but Michael avoided my eyes, glued to his phone, as if he hadn't heard a thing. Rachel shifted uncomfortably, her face torn, but she stayed silent. Then my eyes landed on Anna. She looked stricken, her mouth slightly open as though she wanted to speak, but Martha's glare kept her still. Sam tugged at her arm, whispering, "Why isn't Uncle Ed coming?" I felt my throat close. I tried again, my voice trembling. "Martha, I planned this trip for the family. I wanted to see Sam's face when he saw the ocean, to be here together. How can you tell me there's no room when I bought the tickets?" Her reply was blunt. "It's done, Edward. Don't make a scene. We'll handle things. You can come next time." Maybe I felt the ground sway under my feet. My own sister had erased me from my own gift. I wanted to shout, to tell her how cruel she was, but I couldn't bear to embarrass Anna and Sam in front of the crowd. My chest ached with humiliation as I realized strangers around us were staring. Anna finally stepped closer, her eyes glistening with tears. She whispered, "Uncle Ed, I'm so sorry. This isn't fair." Her voice cracked, but before she could say more, Martha snapped, "Anna, enough. We need to board." I looked at my son one last time, silently pleading for him to speak up, to defend me, but he didn't. He simply followed the others, walking toward the gangway as if nothing had happened. Sam turned back and waved, his small voice calling, "Bye, Uncle Ed. See you soon." I forced a smile, lifting my hand in return, but inside, my heart was breaking. That little boy didn't understand that his grandfather had just been cast aside, like he didn't matter. I stood frozen as the line moved forward, my family blending into the stream of passengers. The ship horn blasted, echoing through the harbor, and the massive vessel loomed above me like a cruel reminder. I had dreamed of standing on that deck with them, laughing as we set sail together. Instead, I stood alone, clutching my ticket folder, watching them disappear. The boarding area emptied quickly. Families who had arrived with me were now waving from the railings above, shouting with joy as the ship pulled away. I stood rooted to the spot, humiliated, my eyes burning as the distance grew. Finally, the ship was gone, swallowed by the horizon, and I was left standing at the port, a broken old man who had given everything only to be told there was no place for him. When I finally walked back to my car, the ticket folder felt heavy in my hands. Inside were all the documents with my name on them, proof that I belonged on that ship. But it didn't matter. My own family had decided I didn't. The drive home blurred past me. I couldn't focus on the road, my mind replaying Martha's words again and again. "We took your cabin. You don't need to be here." That night, the silence in my house was unbearable. I sat in my chair with my wife's photo in hand, whispering, "Margaret, I tried. I wanted to keep the family together, but they don't want me. I don't belong anymore." Tears slipped down my face as I finally set the picture aside. In that moment, I felt erased, discarded, abandoned by the very people I had sacrificed for. But deep inside, I couldn't shake the feeling that something wasn't finished. I didn't know how or when, but I sensed the storm I had been cast out of would come crashing back to me. And when it did, they would discover just how wrong they had been to leave me behind. When I got home from the port, I dropped the ticket folder on the kitchen table and just stared at it. My name was printed clearly on the papers, proof that I was supposed to be there. Yet the chair beside me was empty, my bag still packed by the door, and the house felt colder than ever. I kept hearing Martha's voice in my head, sharp and unforgiving. "There's no room for you. We took your cabin." Those words replayed like a cruel song I couldn't turn off. For the first time in years, I felt small. I had worked, saved, and dreamed of this trip, and my own family cast me aside without a second thought. I sat there for hours in silence, torn between anger and grief. Part of me wanted to march straight to the cruise company and demand they correct the mistake. Another part of me wanted to call Martha and unleash all the pain she had caused. But I knew that even if I fought, they would find another excuse, another way to humiliate me. That night, I opened the old photo album Margaret had made years ago. The pages were filled with family pictures, birthdays, Christmas mornings, graduations. In almost every photo, I was in the background, holding the camera, making sure everyone else looked perfect. I realized that had been my role for years. The quiet supporter, the one who gave without asking for much in return. I thought about what Margaret would say if she were here. She would tell me, "Eddie, you can't change Martha. You can only choose who you are going to be." Those words gave me clarity. I couldn't force my sister to respect me. I couldn't force my children to speak up. But I could decide what kind of man I would be moving forward. I could give in to bitterness, close the door, and shut them out forever. Or I could take the harder path, patience, quiet strength, and unconditional love, even if it hurt. The next day, my phone buzzed with a text. It was from Anna. "Uncle Ed, I'm so sorry for what happened. I begged Mom to let you come, but she wouldn't listen. Please don't give up on me and Sam." I read those words again and again, and my heart softened. Anna had always been gentle, always respectful. I knew she didn't have the power to fight Martha. And Sam, sweet little Sam, he was innocent in all this. He didn't understand family politics. He just loved his Uncle Ed. If I disappeared completely, what would that teach him? That love disappears when things get hard? Number. That wasn't the legacy I wanted to leave. Later that afternoon, Rachel called. Her voice was quiet, almost guilty. "Dad," she said, "I didn't know what to do at the port. I should have spoken up. I'm sorry I didn't scold her. Instead, I told her, 'Rachel, I raised you to be kind, and I know your heart. Don't apologize to me. Just remember that silence can wound just as deeply as words. Be braver next time,' she promised she would." That evening, I sat on the porch as the sun dipped below the horizon, and I made my decision. I wasn't going to chase after them. I wasn't going to beg for a place in their lives, but I also wasn't going to vanish. I would wait. I would remain steady, like the anchor I had always been, because storms come and go, and sooner or later, I knew the storm on that ship would break, and when it did, Anna and Sam would need me. Maybe even Michael and Rachel would realize what they had lost. I remembered my years in the Navy. Patience and discipline had often been the difference between life and death. You couldn't always control the sea, but you could control how you faced it. That same lesson applied now. I couldn't control Martha's cruelty or my children's silence, but I could control my response. I would be ready when it came to me, whether it was with regret, fear, or need. Before bed, I placed Margaret's photo back on the shelf and whispered, "I won't give up on them, love. No matter how much it hurts, I'll be here. One day, they'll understand." When I lay down that night, the pain was still there, but beneath it was something stronger, a quiet resolve. I wasn't erased. Not really. I was waiting, and I had no idea just how soon they would come running back. Not once, not twice, but 134 times, desperate for the man they had left behind. 2 days after the ship left the port, I had finally begun to settle back into my lonely routine. I woke early, made coffee, and sat on the porch with the morning paper, though I barely read the words. Every page reminded me of what I was missing, the laughter of my family, the joy of seeing Sam smile, the sunsets I had imagined watching with them. I told myself I would carry on quietly, even if they had pushed me aside. That night, I turned in early. The house was silent, only the soft hum of the refrigerator filling the air. In bed, staring at the ceiling, Margaret's photo nightstand, when suddenly my phone lit up. It buzzed loudly against the wood. I squinted at the screen. It was Anna. I hesitated, thinking maybe she was just sending another apology. Before I could answer, the call ended. Then, seconds later, it rang again. Then again. I sat up, my heart racing as the buzzing grew relentless. 10 missed calls. Then 20. Then 50. By the time I finally swiped to answer, my hands were trembling. "Uncle Ed!" Anna's voice burst through, frantic and raw. "Please, thank God you picked up. We need you. Something's gone wrong." My heart pounded. "Anna, slow down. What's happening?" Her voice cracked with, "The ship lost power. The lights went out. The food is spoiling. People are fighting to get answers. Mom is panicking. Sam is crying. Everyone is terrified. You're the only one I trust. What do we do?" I gripped the phone tighter, every instinct from my Navy days rushing back. Memories of power failures at sea, of tense nights spent keeping calm when others were falling apart, came flooding into my mind. I took a deep breath, steadying my voice. "Listen to me, Anna. You and Sam stay together, no matter what. Don't separate. Find bottled water and keep it close. Stay in your cabin if it's safe, away from the panicked crowds. Most importantly, keep calm. Sam will take his cues from you." In the background, I could hear Sam's frightened voice. "Is Uncle Ed coming? Please, Mom. I want Uncle Ed." My chest tightened, but I forced myself to stay focused. "Tell Sam I'm with him, Anna. Tell him Grandpa Ed's right here on the phone, and I'll guide you both through this." Anna repeated my words, and I heard Sam's sobs quiet a little. Then Martha's voice cut in, shaky and desperate, so unlike her usual sharpness. "Edward, it's Martha. Please, I was wrong. We need you. I don't know what to do." The bitterness I had carried since the port threatened to rise, but I pushed it down. This wasn't the time for revenge. This was the time to be the man I had always been, the steady hand in the storm. "Listen carefully," I told them. "The crew will be working to restore power. Don't add to the chaos. Stay patient. Keep calm. Stay hydrated and safe. You'll get through this." For the next hour, I stayed on the line with them, talking them through the panic. When Anna's voice shook, I steadied her. When Sam cried, I told him stories to distract him, about the time his grandmother and I got caught in a storm at sea, and how we pulled through by trusting each other. Slowly, their voices steadied. Slowly, I heard the fear lessen. At one point, Anna whispered, "Uncle Ed, I don't know what we'd do without you." And in the background, Martha sobbed quietly. By the time the ship's lights flickered back on hours later, they were calmer. The worst had passed. Anna called again the next morning, her voice exhausted, but full of relief. "The power is back. They said everything is under control now. But Uncle Ed, last night, you saved us. You were the only one who knew what to do." I sat in my chair, the phone pressed to my ear, tears filling my eyes. For years, Martha had treated me like I was nothing. My own children had stayed silent as I was cast aside. But when disaster struck, when the fear was real and the chaos was heavy, I was the one they turned to. Not once, not twice, but 134 times. It wasn't pride that filled me in that moment. It was something deeper, a quiet vindication, a reminder that love, patience, and strength always reveal themselves matters most. They had left me alone at the port, humiliated, but in the end, they couldn't escape the truth. They needed me. As Anna's voice softened and Sam shouted, "Thank you, Uncle Ed." In the background, I knew I had been given back something more valuable than any cruise trip. I had been given back my place in the family, not through Martha's permission, not through my children's silence, but through the undeniable bond of love and trust that could never truly be erased. When the ship finally docked back at port, I wasn't there waiting for them. Part of me wanted to be, but I decided I had already given them what they needed most. My guidance in the storm. I wanted them to feel the weight of walking off that ship and realizing they had left me behind. Still, I knew it was only a matter of time before they came to my door. 2 days later, it happened. I heard a knock, softer than usual, almost hesitant. When I opened the door, there they were. Martha, Anna, Sam, Michael, and Rachel. They looked nothing like the confident group that had boarded the ship without me. Their faces were tired, their shoulders slumped, their eyes full of regret. It was Anna who stepped forward first, clutching Sam's hand. Her voice trembled. "Uncle Ed, I don't even know how to start. You saved us. If it wasn't for you on the phone that night, I don't know what would have happened." She pulled me into a hug before I could respond, and Sam wrapped his small arms around my waist, whispering, "Grandpa, I'm sorry they didn't let you come." My throat tightened, but I held him close. patting his back. "It's all right, buddy. You're safe. That's what matters." Michael was next. He shifted uncomfortably, his voice low. "Dad, I should have said something at the port. I should have defended you. Instead, I stayed silent. I let Martha decide everything, and I went along with it. I regret that more than you'll ever know." Rachel's eyes filled with tears as she added, "Me too. I knew it was wrong, but I froze. You didn't deserve that." And then, to my surprise, Martha stepped forward. For as long as I could remember, she had been the one in control, the one who never admitted fault. But now her voice cracked. "Edward, I was wrong. I thought I was protecting the family image, making things smoother. But I see now I was cruel. When everything fell apart on that ship, the only name we could say was yours. The truth is, we needed you, and we still do." I studied her face for a long moment. I had dreamed of hearing those words, but standing there, I realized something important. I didn't need her apology to know my worth. My worth had already been proven the night they called me 130 times, out a slow breath, and said, "Martha, I don't want revenge. I don't want apologies. I just want us to remember what family is supposed to mean. It's not about control or appearances or pushing people aside. It's about standing together when life gets hard. You forgot that, but I think now you understand." Her eyes dropped to the floor as she nodded. "I do." We spent the rest of that evening together in my living room. The atmosphere was heavy at first, but little by little it began to ease. Sam played with a toy car on the rug, his laughter breaking the silence. Anna sat close to me, her hand resting on my arm as though to remind herself I was really there. Michael and Rachel listened when they spoke, but the guilt in their eyes was clear. Even Martha softened, though she went quiet. Night fell. I realized something profound. The trip I had dreamed of hadn't gone the way I planned. I never stood on the deck of that ship, never watched the sunset over the ocean with my family by my side. Instead, I had been left behind. But when the real storm came, not the one outside, but the one inside their hearts, they turned to me. And that was worth more than any vacation photo or postcard memory. In the days that followed, Anna and Sam visited often. We shared meals, laughed, and for the first time in years, I felt like the heart of the family again. Michael and Rachel started calling more too, each conversation a step toward healing. Even Martha, stubborn as she was, treated me differently. She didn't try to dominate or silence me. She spoke softer, with more care. It wasn't perfect, but it was a start. Looking back, I learned something powerful. Sometimes the ones you sacrifice most for are the ones who push you away. Sometimes the people you love the deepest don't recognize your worth until they're standing in chaos, desperate for the very strength they once rejected. But love is patient, love is steady, and when you refuse to give up, the truth always comes to light. I may not have sailed that cruise, but I walked away with something more. My family saw me for who I truly am, the anchor, the one who stands firm when the waves hit hardest. And though the pain of being left behind will never fully fade, I know now that love has a way of bringing people back, no matter how far they drift. If this story moved you, don't forget to subscribe to the channel and tell me where you're watching from. I'd love to hear too.